Hi there, I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the north-west of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled The Universal Hum. Join in the harmony of the heart. Now, if you'd seen one of my videos from early last summer, you may recall that I was out one warm Monday evening with my beautiful little dog Molly. I was walking with one or two troubles that were weighing heavily on my heart and soul. And as I passed the town hall, upstairs I heard the most wonderful singing coming out of the wide open windows. It was a hot evening. Me and Molly carried on walking for a while. We bumped into a couple of people I know, and we engaged in small talk, beginning, curiously, with conversations about the weather. It's a very British thing, they say, but it's a connective thing, you know. One of the people complained, and the other was very grateful about the heat, about that early summer's evening. I was enjoying the evening sunshine. Anyway, I walked back home past the town hall a little later, and the singing was a beautiful sound that just went perfectly with that beautiful early summer evening. As is my way, I posted about how wonderful an experience it was on social media. And a little later, a woman who has attended the chapel on the odd occasion replied, saying that it was her choir. And would I be interested in joining them on a Monday evening? Well, I hadn't been, but actually, with this invitation, suddenly I was. I have been talking about singing again for quite some time. And that's what I did. So I joined up, and it's been a wonderful part of my being ever since. Loving it. Now, as when I first joined, I began, as is my usual way really, I began quietly, almost you might say shyly. But, as is my way also, as time has gone on, I've grown into myself and I found my voice, and I am loving it. It is great to sing, and even better to sing with others. Now, the other day I was walking through Altrincham when I bumped into our choir leader, Rose, having lunch with her husband. We began a conversation which, often with my conversations, began by her asking questions about Molly. Molly is my superpower when it comes to engaging with others. Rose then began to ask about my work, asking if I was a priest. And I began to explain that I was not a priest. I am not set apart as a special kind of person. I am not a holy man any more than anyone else is holy. I am a minister, and to minister means to serve. I am a humble servant in the truest sense of the word humble. My role is to help others to engage with the holy within themselves, I suppose I would say. And then Rose began to talk about her role as a choir leader as being something akin to what I was describing as ministry. That her role is to help facilitate the choir, to help the voices come together and the voices to sing. And I said, yes, something like that, something similar. And I thought to myself, she is engaged in holy work, as what she's doing is bringing the Spirit to life. I then felt I'd been there a bit too long, and I made my apologies and left her and her husband to enjoy their lunch. You can overstay your welcome, I think. I have loved being part of the choir. It's hard work, especially to begin with, as they were singing songs that are very, very unfamiliar to me. Modern pop music, really. Rose and the other choir leader, Brooke, have been wonderful and accommodating, as have all the other people actually who invited, in this diverse collective of people who made me feel very welcome. There are many other different social activities too that they seem to be engaged with. I haven't joined in them yet because, to be honest, I'm there just to sing, but we shall see. Maybe eventually I may overcome that shyness I have. I've been thinking about choir singing and how it is a wonderful metaphor of the spiritual life, of free religious living. Singing is about listening, but it's about listening in a deep, attentive way. The only people who cannot sing are the truly tone deaf, for they can't hear. And there aren't many tone deaf people, truly tone deaf, in this world. To sing with others requires you to listen to the leader, to listen to your section, to be aware of the other sections without getting too caught up in what they are doing. You need to focus on your part. It is not merely a mechanical process, though. It requires heart, and it requires soul, and it requires breathing. You have to breathe in the right way and at the right time too. You have to work together with others, being a part of something incredible and wonderful, and it only works if you play your part, allowing others to play theirs. You make something more wonderful in harmony as the music comes together. You need to focus and yet relax at the same time. You cannot be timid or tentative. You need to let your heart and your soul out while humbly playing your part to create something more wonderful than your individual voices could do alone. You may have your moment to shine, but mainly it's about playing your part as a piece of the whole. I believe it is a wonderful illustration, a beautiful example of true humility. I was talking with some friends the other evening, and the subject of humility came up. What we mean when we talk of humility. We all spoke and we all listened to one another. The very activity seemed to personify humility to me. Humility to me is about accepting my human limitations, accepting my finiteness, whilst at the same time being responsible for what is mine. To be humble is to be fully human, finite, born from the earth, but with a responsibility for what is mine. A Jewish friend who was in the conversation told me of a conversation that he once had with a rabbi about humility. And he asked the rabbi about how he copes with suffering, how he keeps faith in a world with so much suffering. To which the rabbi answered that each morning he prays to be the best person that he can be. Now, to me, that's to live humbly. And it brought to my mind some favourite words from the book of Micah, chapter 6, verse 8. Words that point to a way to live by ethically and spiritually, really. True ethical and spiritual behaviour, how we should live. And it's quite simple and it's quite humble, I would say. The verse is as follows. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. Yeah, that's it. That personifies it, I think, perfectly. The conversation we all shared in was both beautiful and humble in its nature. We listened to one another, we added from our own hearts and experience, and we all gained from sharing together. It lifted up all our spirits. We sang a beautiful song in harmony together, not singing the same notes, but by blending together, we made something beautiful and moving. And the conversation reminded me of singing in a choir together, singing together with others like the spiritual life personified. It is humility in action. Each plays their parts and creates a greater whole, something far greater than could be alone. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Now, there are many benefits from just singing. It lifts me up when sometimes I feel fallen in heart and soul. When you sing, you cannot be sad for long. So I heard a chorister once say on a study of singing. And this is a universal response to singing, I think. Singing feels great. It's good for you. It decreases feelings of anxiety, loneliness, depression. Singing is good for the brain, actually. It can counteract the effects of brain aging. You see dementia singing groups, actually. In her book, The Secret Life of the Grown-Up Brain, Barbara Stark includes joining a choir as one of the main things you can do to enhance neuroplasticity. Sorry, I can't say that. Music increases grey matter and the number and strength of neural connections in the brain, she says. It connects to others and it connects to the moment. It brings the soul to life, and this increases manyfold when you sing with others in harmony, not just alone and not singing in discord. It increases it manyfold. When I first joined the choir, I mentioned to some friends, some folk, that I was quiet, when I first joined. Just eased my way in slowly. There is a shyness in me, which may not seem obvious to folk who know me a while. But there is a shyness in me when I join something new. So I slowly and I quietly made my steps into the group. They were warm and welcoming and helped me greatly. They were lovely and they were friendly people. I slowly stepped into my section, and the men in my section helped me to find my voice. Slowly over time, I found my voice, and my true personality began to find its voice too. It came out. My friend Rob told me that this would be the case within a few weeks and I would be shining bright, taking over, he said. And he was right. Maybe not taking over. But it took me a little while. And it began by humbly listening, and in time my voice began to give what my voice has to give. But it took time, and of course it began by listening, truly listening with the ears of my heart. And this week I helped to welcome a friend into our little circle. He came for the first time. He'd heard me talking about it. And there was a special moment this last Monday when we began to learn a new piece to us all. Each of us broke into our little sections and we got close together, formed a circle together, listening to each other, singing our parts and beginning to create something truly beautiful. But it began with listening to one another, adding our voice and slowly raising each other up, raising our voices heavenward. I feel most alive when singing. I wonder sometimes if what we are made for is music, that music is the heartbeat of life. And it's not we who make the music, not wholly. We just let music be made through us and we join in the choir of life. Now, of course, I'm not the first to think this way. Can you imagine me coming out with something so poetic? You may recall a couple of years ago I recorded something I spoke about Pythagoras' concept of the music of the spheres, that every celestial body produces in its movement, the way that it moves through the universes, a unique hum, which is determined by its own orbit. But there's this hum, the harmony of life, the song of creation, if you like. The music of the spheres, Pythagoras called it. Now, of course, Pythagoras would not have used the word orbit in his day. This was a phrase that was coined by the German astronomer Johannes Kepler 2,000 years after Pythagoras. But Kepler resurrected Pythagoras' lesser-known theory, this one. We all know his more well-known triangle theory. But he created this, he revisited and into his own context, his lesser-known theory, and he called it Harmony of the World, which was published in 1619. Kepler believed that the whole universe was singing, that the whole universe was reverberating with music, but it was music that the human ear on Earth could not hear, I suppose because of all the sounds, including in our own heads. Now, at the time, he was thought to be an absolute fool and ridiculed for having such ridiculous beliefs. Probably ruined his reputation, actually. But was he a fool? Or maybe not. And I was reading the Marginarian, an article about this recently then I looked into it in more detail, and it seems actually that this hum that Kepler talked of, that Pythagoras spoke of, has been detected by modern radio telescopes that were sent out into space that have detected a low frequency hum that pervades the whole universe. This hum is the product of black holes colliding into the early universe. From the dawn of time, from the creation of life, going right back to the beginning. And that each colliding black hole creates a different low note. And that all these notes sing together, creating some incredible cosmic hum. So it seems that the whole of the universe is singing in harmony. The sounds come together and create this hum. But we can't hear it with our naked ears. Now, I don't know about you, but this blows me absolutely away. It blows out my heart and soul. It connects we individual, humble humans with the whole of the universe from the beginning of time. It connects us to eternity. It connects our finite bodies to the beginning of time. Matter comes alive in our bodies, and these celestial bodies, in their creation and their destruction, life and death. And my goodness, that humble. If you can't be humbled by that, what can you be humbled by? Humbles me. It makes me feel so tiny, but no less important. It reminds me I'm mortal too. And I sing like the birds sing because they are alive, as the whole universe sings with life. And I think that's why we sing too. I believe this is why we can't keep from singing. Singing together in harmony, listening to each other's voices, creating something even more wonderful and ever more beautiful. For we join in the music of the universe. Musica universale, as Pythagoras called it. We sing the eternal song of belonging. And this is beautifully illustrated in this fascinating poem hymn by Marie Howe that I came across actually in this beautiful article published in the Marginalian by Maria Popova. And I'm going to bring this devotion to an end by sharing this fascinating piece with you. So this is Hymn by Maria Howe. It began as an almost inaudible hum, low and long for the solar winds and the far dim galaxies, a hymn, growing louder for the moon and the sun, a song without words for the snow falling, for snow conceiving snow, conceiving rain, the rivers rushing without shame, the hum turning again higher into a riff of ridgeous peaks, hard as consonants. summits and praise for the rocky faults and crust and crevices, then down, down to the roots and rocks and burrows, the lake's skittery surfaces, wells, oceans, breaking waves, the salt deep, the warm bodies moving within it, the cold deep, the deep underneath gleaming, some of us rising as the planet turned into dawn, some lying down as it turned into dark, as each of us rested, another woke, standing among the cast-off cartons and automobiles. We left the factories and stood in the parking lots, left the subways and stood on sidewalks, in the bright offices, in the cluttered yards, in the farmed fields, in the mud of the shanty towns, breaking into harmonies we'd not known possible, finding the chords as we found our true place, singing in a million keys, the human hymn of praise for every something else there is and ever was and will be. The song growing louder and rising. Listen, I too believed it was a dream. So maybe there's a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, that Leonard Cohen sung of, maybe. Is this the voice that is less than a whisper, but more than silence? Maybe it's the sound of silence. I don't know. But maybe if we are still and silent enough, if we listen with the ears of our hearts and open our hearts and join in the harmony of life, then maybe, just maybe, we can truly join in singing the great harmony of the heart. Amen. Now I'm going to end this devotion with, as I always do, with some words of blessing. You know we can all bless. And we bless by giving ourselves wholeheartedly to life. So these are slightly adapted words by Richard S. Gilbert called A New Song in New Harmony. But I've chopped and adapted them a bit. Let us hear the harmony that is the music of the spheres. May some of the harshness and discord of our human lives be transmuted into music. A new song in our hearts may there be, and a new harmony in our beings. May we now return to life with fresh courage and with eagerness and with rejoicing. Rejoice in the Lord always. Let us sing the joy of living in all its mystery. And may we do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, and in all that we do. Because there's a harmony in our hearts. Amen.